Hi everyone, thanks for joining us, and we're so excited to be hosting our first Patch Live event for the Patch Project. We've got a great introduction to a new series that we are putting together called It's a Synth. That's with James Walker, the synth tech from Soundgas, and Peanut, of course, from the Kaiser Chiefs. And then in the second half of the show, we have Tony from Soundgas in conversation with Adrian Utley from Portishead. Both these sessions will have a question and answer session afterwards. We're also going to share a little more about the Patch Project with you and how we'd like you to join us in building a music community like no other. Please, can you use the chat box to say hello to each other and us? Patch is all about connections and community, and we really want to make the most of everyone to get together today. There is a chance of questions to all of our presenters, and they'll be at the end of the session. But if you want to put your question down in writing before then, you can put them into the Q&A tab that's in the chat box. And we have a lovely producer behind the scenes, Gemma, who will be keeping everything organised for us as the show goes on. There's a full screen viewing option, and the chat box will be still accessible, so you can really immerse yourself in what's going on today. If you have any technical issues during the session, please, we can help you if you use the contact icon below, so the producer and the team can help you directly. And now I'm thrilled to be able to introduce you to James from Soundgas and Peanut from the Kaiser Chiefs. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to hearing you talk about synths.
No problem. I think we're ready. I think it's
okay.
Yeah, we're finally here.
Absolutely. So what are we doing?
Thanks, Joe. Thanks. So hi everyone. Yeah, I'm Peanut from Kaiser Chiefs. This is James Walker, Master Synth Tech
From Soundgas.
Yeah, and we're here to talk about our new series called It's a Synth.
Yeah. So what are we going to do?
Well, this is kind of like a big moment, isn't it? Because like this is the first Patch Live event, and we're going to be doing these sort of regular chats about particular synths. We called it It's a Synth.
Yeah.
A nice little pun there somewhere. And I think, it's going to be, we're going to have like, we're using a synth each week.
Yeah.
Each time we do the episode, there'll be a synth that's kind of at the forefront, you know? So something like that, like the lovely SH101, which is one of my favourite synths. And like mine and James's first synth,
first
right?
synth,
Yeah. And I think the idea of Patch being a sort of community that we build and sharing knowledge, it kind of does, if you look at that synth and you think, I have no idea what
to
do with it, then this is for us. Yeah. If you happen to have one of those in your bedroom studio or somewhere at home, then this is also for you, because we're kind of going to be talking about what makes a different synth, why we like them.
So we're going to look at different features, different components of each synth, and then we're going to talk about different synths and how you can use basic features on one synth to transfer that to another synth. That kind of thing. You don't have to spend, mega bucks on making music.
No,
it's all about really simple stuff.
And I think the idea is that we want to share. I think we learn along the way. I say I'm learning. James knows it all.
Yeah, but I still learn stuff every day. and I had an advantage when I bought my 101. I had a manual.
Yeah.
You didn't.
Right. Yeah. And it was and you bought it when the synth was first around.
Yeah.
But what we were keen to put across as well is that some of the older synths, this is from the 80s, the 101. There's an enormously famous synth behind it, the Roland System 700.
Yeah.
So they cost a lot of money. But what we want to teach and share the knowledge of is kind of, there's a lot of current synthesizers out there in the market, and little modular pocket modules, desktop things that you can use that don't break the bank.
No.
But I think all the things that we want to talk about and share is kind of like, well, here's what a filter does on this device, and here's, if you don't know what a filter is,
so they're all
it's totally fine.
Different flavors, different varieties, but they're all generally the same.
Yeah.
So the 700 here is pretty much 7 or 8 or 9 SH101s with a few bells and whistles.
Yeah.
It would be
expensive bells and whistles.
Yeah, very expensive bells and whistles. So yeah, you can start out really small like me and Peanut. You can end up massive. You can keep going crazy with the modular, or you can just find a few choice machines that you really like that do certain roles in your music. So maybe you've got something you like going to for bass, something for pads and keys, all that kind of thing.
And I think to sort of like, I get to make music for my living, but I realise there's always things to learn, and always kind of like, I never thought about using the synth in that way, or I never realised with some very sort of fine tweaking and stuff, you can really get the most out of synth.
Absolutely,
It's easy to get sort of bass sound sometimes. And again, like in the inclusiveness bit, it's kind of like, if you've no idea how to make a bass sound on a synth, then join us in each episode, because that's the beauty, I think, of a synthesis, is like every time you approach it, especially something big like that, but even the 101, I can go to it numerous times, and it might have been in the car, in the bag, and the sliders all moved, and you turn it on, and you press a note, and you're like, right, don't touch that. I don't know, I would never have thought to do that combination of settings. And I think if through Patch and through this community that we're inviting you all to sort of build with us, is sharing all that knowledge is a really nice experience, and it's a really
it's collaborative as well, because we don't know everything. I don't know everything. I find new things every day, and that's how it is. That's synthesis. So if you find things that you really like, tell us, let us know.
Yeah. So I think again, with a lot of synthesizers, the big names, a lot of older things, you Roland and Yamaha and Korg and Oberheim and stuff, and all sorts of things. They take a bit of care, don't they?
Yeah, the older stuff does.
In your daily
that's my
life,
day-to-day thing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of simple tips and tricks on it we can share.
Definitely.
On those lines.
Yeah, and you don't have to be scared of vintage. You don't have to be scared of something that's a little expensive, and you can definitely get good stuff out of really cheap things. So there's something for everybody. And I think what we'll do is we'll be chatting away, because me and Peanut have known each other for a bit, and we've probably got a few stories to tell about a few things. Nothing too scandalous.
No.
So so when Patch is up and running, when It's a Synth is up and running, there'll be all sorts of content for you to dip in and out of, and we'll be doing new stuff all the time. So again, if you've got any I think ideas
on request as well. There's a lot of synthesizers in the world. If you're into synths and stuff, then you'll be aware of just how many there are. And if you're like a user collector like I sort of am, there's always one more that you want, one more that you need.
You never started off as a collector, did you?
No, it just turned into
maybe we should do a series on how to not become a collector.
That'd be useful, wouldn't it?
How to cure your addiction.
How to save your relationship. That kind of thing.
How to sneak it in and the partner not find out how much it really costs.
Inconspicuous packaging. But I think this, again, at the heart of Patch is this connecting people and making connections, and people talking about, there might be some obscure synth. We might be able to come across and find. And I think there'll be more hands-on demos and things. We already filmed, just the other week we filmed quite a long episode on the 101, because James and I went off on a bit of a tangent, as the episodes might do. As
definitely will do.
Maybe. It can happen from time to time.
But we are going to take a good close look at all the individual bits that make the 101 really nice. And then we can, as we've said before, expand them to other machines.
So you might hear synth talk about oscillators, filters and envelopes and VCAs. It might mean something to you, it might not. But we can hopefully help break that down into kind of more accessible info. So even when you go into the music store, you're browsing online, and you see these like modern little boxes with loads of knobs that say envelope and modulation and stuff. Then hopefully, if you're interested in making that sort of music, and using these synths and little boxes in your music, then we can at least help sort of break down a bit of the stigma around kind of like, if you go to something like this as your first step, you'd be like, I have no idea what to do.
It is dead
simple. But it is actually, once you know what the bits are, it really is like making connections, which is a beautiful analogy for Patch, and kind of, we want to find these people all over the world who are interested in making music with synths and drum machines.
Music, sounds.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what you make, as long as you enjoy what you're making, and the process is really what it's about. It's not the end result. Certainly not for me anyway. I know for you.
No. Yeah. At some point, you have to get a song out at the end.
Yeah. But that's, you've got
I think the journey is the great thing.
Yeah.
And I think so. Yeah. So it's a synth episodes. I like to think that it's going to evolve a bit as we get through the first few and the chat and stuff, which hopefully you're in the chat now. And when we hear the feedback from you guys, I think that's going to help us
definitely
sort of realize what you maybe want out of these talks. So it's definitely, rather than being like some sort of lecture or TED talk, it's more about a collaborative effort.
And it's not the Peanut and Jones show either. It's,
no.
It's a.
Although t-shirts are coming next week.
Merch.
Good.
We got any merch? No. Okay, don't buy any merch.
Yeah,
but
we get some hats.
Got some Kaiser Chiefs stuff.
Yeah. But we will. Yeah. So I think it's. I mean, looking around, we're in Tony from Soundgas' studio here, and we can't show you all of it in a moment, but there are many great devices and boxes in here that it's kind of like, it feels like it's going to be exciting having a reason to show this to people.
Oh, there's so much we can show people.
And at first I thought it was kind of, I was worried that kind of you'd be a bit exclusive and kind of like, you haven't got a Prophet 5 or some Jupiter 8, or you haven't sold an arm to get a synth.
Plenty of options now.
Yeah, it really is. It's a lovely journey when you get something really interesting out of something you thought was almost broken or like throwaway.
Yeah. I mean, that's certainly what it was for me, because when I started in the early 90s, analog was nothing. Nobody wanted analog. So it was cheap and I could buy stuff, but, I've missed a few bargains.
But we want to hear those stories, don't we?
Yeah,
we want to hear those
stories.
About
that 303 for
exactly. How everyone was selling them and getting DX7s. And again, if all this is a bit foreign to you, there's a whole sort of lineage, isn't it? Of synths that's gone through the eras and things that have happened.
So we should do some sort of basic history and timelines occasionally, or things like that. Yeah, I think
there's definitely we can sort of move. Yeah, I think we can show. We'll get some nice early synths, sort of early.
We'll get
like the organ crossover,
sort of bizarre, weird things that you wouldn't really call a synthesizer, but they actually are. Some of the early Rolands or the Yamahas.
Yeah, and under the hood you look at it and go, well, that's actually a synth, but it made kind of more organ brassy sounds and didn't quite go into the squelchy sort of synth sounds. But it wasn't a far leap, was it? It wasn't a big leap to get there.
I think there was a time when nobody knew what a synthesizer was, so it could be anything.
Yeah.
So and that's with some of the parameters were called, singing or traveler
for the filter. Yeah.
Or it's just like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So which was I guess it was, you could see. Those legends. You can see where the journey was coming to sort of to these.
Yeah, and now it's all pretty much distilled down to vocabulary of.
It's fixed, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. The glossary of terms is well defined now. So
these are sort of chats that we've gone off on a tangent there a little bit, but we also want to share like little tips and tricks that we have for using synths, which. What did we come up with? I can't remember.
A good tip.
We're trying to stockpile ideas and not use them all up in his first episode.
Yeah.
That'd be a shame.
Well, a good tip for me as an engineer is I see a lot of gear that's faulty because it's not been used for a long time or a couple of months. My tip is just use your synths. If you've got something vintage or something analog or anything, just get out and use it, because that's what they're there for. Yeah. And they will probably go faulty when you're not using them. So don't ever worry about overusing them.
Yeah, I have a lovely Moog source that I got out of the case the other day.
No.
And it doesn't sound like a Moog source anymore.
Really?
No. And I'm like, and I know it's been in a cold place for too long, and I feel really daft. So if only I knew someone who could, maybe fix it. I mean, I can't think of anyone.
Anyway.
But we were talking about on the trigger thing before. So this is more for people that maybe know a bit about synths now. But like a lot of drum machines and keyboards have a trigger input for the sequencer to step it along, which again, we'll cover all this if I'm talking nonsense to you. But one little trick I learned from your workshop was normally you connect a jack into the trigger and it'll set the sequencer going from another device. But what if you don't have another device? You can just cut the cable off and just short the ends out with your fingers like that, and basically it'll step through the sequence in the rhythm that you close your fingers.
So just a sort of emergency.
We should definitely do a video of that, right?
Should do a tour one about how to get out of the mire when things go bad on tour.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that another
time. We'll cover that another time as well. Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things we could add.
I think we're already getting, which is good. We're already getting questions from people. So
that's a good one.
So I think we've already got some
first
here.
one. Yeah.
So quick tips. Well, quick tips.
We've done quick tips. Yeah. So how did you get? Yeah. I mean, starting buying, collecting, playing, making music.
Yeah.
Biggest ticket actually is get started. Don't even think about it. Just do it.
Yeah. I think I agree with that. You don't
need
too long can be spent in the sort of like.
Yeah.
And I'm terrible with this as well. Like, I just need that echo pen. I just need to fix that thing. I've got loads of lovely devices that I could make music with.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get lost in the chase.
Yeah, and
which is an enjoyable part of what we
it's part of the journey. But eventually you will come to a level where you just think, oh, you know what?
Yeah.
I just need
get
this.
on with it.
Yeah.
And I think that is getting started. Just set the drum machine going and start playing the synth or whatever. Or make, if you're computer based, just make a little loop in there. And again, we can help. We're going to cover a lot of the practical sort of synth side of that stuff, aren't we? About what just making music with synthesizers.
Yeah, because it's interesting because I know a lot of people want to get started, but if you're looking at the shops now, there's a lot of stuff. Where do you start? What do you want? Do you know what you want?
Well, yeah.
So maybe we could teach people
if you're after a certain thing, here's a good box to start.
Do you
with.
like this sort of music? Do you like that act? You know, I don't know. There's a lot. That's a massively big question. Actually, we probably couldn't answer that in 2 or 3 shows.
No,
but we could keep it running.
But I think the idea of having our episode, even within each episode, we'll have like a little. Here's like a beginner back to basics sort of section, which covers the basics of synthesizer and drum machines and how they all get going, but also delve into the big name stuff as well.
Yeah, because somebody was asking us about fixed architecture in synths, whether it's like preset, modular. I mean, it doesn't matter really. I mean, I like it all. I think the biggest thing I've ever found about synthesizers and music in general is limitations. If your instrument is limited, or if your recording equipment is limited. You've got synthesizer that doesn't have 2 oscillators or X, Y, and Z. That's brilliant because that makes you think of ways to get around it by being just exploring what it can do. So I think sometimes having modulars sounds great, but you get lost in I could do everything. I just don't know what I want to do. Or you've got a stylophone, you just think, this is great. Effects pedal, away I go.
Yeah, stick it through. Yeah, distortion or delay or something.
So I don't think it matters what you've got in terms of modular or fixed architecture or analog or digital, vintage or new. It's just this is your tool, this is your instrument.
And hopefully it's a synthesizer will help you at least to maybe have the confidence to get more out of those devices and not, rather than lean up against the door. Just plug it in, maybe stick it through a distortion pedal, do something weird with it, make it trigger in a way it hasn't before. And this is the kind of thing we're excited about, showing you like practical demonstrations of how to do this stuff. So hopefully, people will join us for future.
Somebody's giving me a leading question. I don't know who it is. About the
is there a reissue of a vintage synth you really rate? Well,
I don't know actually, because
they call it like the ARP. There's a 26.
Yeah.
That's like the ARP 2600 by Korg. That's supposed to be like a genuine.
Yeah, we had one in the shop, and I knew I couldn't touch it because I knew I'd just be on it for hours. What I did like about it is
we're trying to be impartial. Yeah, we're trying to be impartial.
The build quality was amazing. I was really impressed. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It was stunning. So if the build quality is anything like the sound quality, it should be great.
Yeah, well, you'd hope the same attention, right?
But my thing is always, it's not the real thing. If you want the real thing, buy the real thing. You have to ask yourself, do you actually really want to spend that kind of money on that sound because it's from 1970 something, or can you recreate something just as good?
Yeah, can you get almost like 95% of the way?
Because in a mix,
really
know.
But we should do some. We'll do some.
ABs.
We're lucky here that we could probably get some very nice vintage stuff with the reissues and actually do an AB. Because I think as much as it shouldn't deter you, it shouldn't make your mind up. It's interesting to see, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to be really cautious because I have an opinion about reissues. But
we'll rehearse it first, and we'll get him sorted out.
The lawyers will be in touch. So oh god.
I found that I've used a few of the.
Have you?
Like the things like the little Roland boutique stuff. So the 101 of that, so I know what a 101 sounds like. It's pretty close. But what I find is the specifics is the movement that isn't the same. So static sounds sound the same. But when you want the filter to move, actually, you're like, that doesn't sound the same as it does when I move it by my hand.
That's the other thing about analog synths I find, whether they're new or reissues or vintage, is it's an interface between you and your ideas. And you've got the hands on, whereas a lot of digital soft stuff is, you know what, I'll just go through the presets and automate.
Well, I have to find it on my computer when I'm doing stuff in rehearsals and finding sound. It's like try and change 2 values at once with a mouse. It's pretty. It's damn impossible, right?
Knobs.
And so it's interesting that the sort of a lot of hardware synths they were meant to, and the panel layouts and where the switches are, they were meant to be played and performed, not just played and then replayed back via MIDI or something. And you realise that at the time when there was no MIDI, then fair enough, that's how they were meant to be. And so sometimes when you force yourself back into that mode, then actually you're like, okay, that's good.
That's pretty cool. You got any more questions?
There you go. Yeah, we've got some more.
Oh, okay. And then fix synth.
Ah, right. Okay. So somebody's asking about fixing their own synths.
I'll leave that one for you. Well,
so
you've actually started fixing your own stuff.
Yeah, I think it's like, if you're into like vintage cars and things like that, you probably get under the hood a bit, right?
Yeah, get your hands dirty. That's how I learn.
Or you probably a bit more enjoyment and probably save some money as well by knowing a few things yourself. And that's what I've got to with my collection of things. Is kind of like, your time is precious. A lot of tech's time is precious.
It costs money as well.
It costs money, and there's some simple things that I feel like if I could fix that, I could apply that knowledge to other things. Yeah. And that is a big part of patch. And when Tony and I from Soundgas had a chat about this a long time ago about the need for more techs and people fixing things, it wouldn't be great to sort of share that knowledge, the knowledge that's in your head.
Yeah, there's
the knowledge that's in my other tech friends' heads.
There's a lot of knowledge out there, but it's all scattered. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
So if you could distill it into one place, that'd be really nice. I mean, there's lots of really great, places on YouTube. There's probably a Reddit forum. There's probably all sorts of stuff. A lot of engineers are really good with their knowledge. They're always forthcoming. They always like to help people out. Now there's a lot of parts you couldn't get when I started in the early 90s.
Right, yeah.
I couldn't get these parts, and it was only a part which was 5 or 6 or 10 years old.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of remanufacturing going on. So I think if you're going to try and get started,
I think that's one of the things that's the patch is sharing that knowledge and helping fellow sort of synth users and gear users, and kind of particularly vintage gear that needs that can benefit from a bit of TLC. Yeah. You don't have to chuck it in the bin when it's not working anymore.
Definitely not. No.
And so I think through patch, the idea is to connect those people with other tech like-minded people who can almost like mentor them online and mentor people into being their own sort of at-home techs, which I think that's one of my great joys from doing this will be when you hear stories from people going, right, thanks to your resources and the videos that we're going to make and that sort of stuff, is like, I've managed to save my space sector, I've managed to save my profit.
But the answer,
that'd be a great thing to.
But from me, the answer is to get your hands dirty, learn what the synth, find a schematic or find a tutorial, be nosy. That's how I started. I used to open things up as a kid and break them, and I had to fix them. Yeah. Or else I get beaten. So that's the way to start is just see what's out there. There's a lot of people doing breakdowns of gear, looking inside, talking about what the stuff is. You'll see techs online on YouTube, affecting the repair. They'll tell you what their thought process is,
and that's what I think. I think if we can try and bring a lot of that information in those people together, and then have people like yourself and like the techs that you work with who can also like validate that, because I think there's a lot of fear sometimes. Like you watch a YouTube video and you sat there with, and it might be something a cheap little synth that you bought somewhere. It might be something really expensive that you just don't live in the UK or North America where we're fortunate we've got quite a lot of synth techs, and you don't want to send this heavy thing, bouncing across a truck somewhere. Who wants to do that with their precious gear? I think if we can somehow get that knowledge out there and sort of verified knowledge of like, here's how to fix that bit. If you're good at soldering, it will teach you things like that.
You don't have to solder sometimes.
No,
it's basic maintenance occasionally, and definitely using these things regular is gonna give you a longer life for the synth. Certainly, not you necessarily, but if you just go out and use them, they're gonna be a lot happier.
Yeah, so I think we've covered quite a lot of things. There's probably like 5 years of it's a synth covered there, right, in the next few episodes. So we need to this is the sort of thing that we want Patch to sort of fly the flag for. Is kind of like it's sharing the knowledge, sharing the love, sharing the interest,
the enthusiasm,
and meeting people. And you might meet people who live a few streets away from you. I think that's that guy in the synth, we would love it, like if people
who live
connected
a few houses away from you. So we've got you'd be surprised. There are a lot of people out there that you just didn't know were into this stuff. You're not alone. And
so welcome to the inaugural episode of It's a Synth. There'll be more actual synth next time, but we want to give you an idea of kind of who we are, what we're into, what we'd like to try and share with you knowledge wise.
And we'll just sort of be on the journey together, and we'll make lots of mistakes, but we'll edit them out. And we'll just see where it goes and see how far you want it to go.
So in the sense of like this is the first episode, I think now we're kind of going to throw back to the studio.
Yeah.
And hopefully Joe is going to be about ready to take over from us. Otherwise, there might be a little pause and we'll talk about some more synths.
Oh God, no!
But here we go. By the magic of television.
Thank you, guys. That was a great insight into It's a Synth. And I'm sure that it's a series that's just going to run and run, because I know you've both got lots and lots of knowledge, and it's going to be great to be able to share it with you.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. So no matter how you've got here today, whether it's as a Soundgas follower or a fan of the Kaiser Chiefs or Adrian, you might not be aware that we are putting together a music community like no other. Our members are going to enjoy access to a continuously growing library of content, forum, creators and events in one space. We are looking to give out trustworthy and knowledgeable information, and we're going to combine that with a world-class platform to deliver a first for the music business. And here is a sneak peek on the Patch project. At the end, we'll put up some social links so that you can stay in touch. And our producer has put a contact email address in the chat now if you want to know more about joining us and more about the platform.
So the platform partner that we're using, it's one of the best on the market. It's currently being used by mega brands around the world as a system. So we know that it's trusted, we know that it's robust, and we know that it can house and support the thousands of, hopefully thousands of subscribers we're going to have. The system very much is a digital home. So you will have a website landing page that you can get all the information that would sell what Patch Project is and get you really hooked into what we're trying to achieve. And from that page, you can register and pay. Now, once you're in, you then are in your community Patch home. So you'll have access to a library of knowledge split between our 3 pillars of produce, promote, prosper. And it will be as easy as clicking on whatever pillar you wish, then checking either the newest content or typing in a search phrase to find a particular piece of content you're after or specific area of interest. Then being able to watch it, post comments. The creators can even get notified about interactions, and they can reply and post new comments if they wish. Everything that you'd really want from a platform like this. As you'd expect, you can manage all aspects of your account and your profile, write your own bio, and to help grow your own network and find like-minded people. The AI matches will highlight other members who have similar interests, connections, and bookmarks as you. You can manage your privacy and visibility settings easily and be incognito on the site or fully engaged at the flick of a switch. Patch Bay is your dashboard, your little black book of videos you've marked to watch later, contacts you've made, sponsors that suit your needs, and interests as well as event reminders. Now, what makes this system really special is that you can have both one-on-one and group video chats with other members, whether that's during one of our live events or if you've just logged in and can see that a friend or someone that you know is online. You can just click the video button and start chatting to them live within the platform. You can video chat with up to 10 people at once, so if there's a group of you, you just end up having a mini Zoom. It's not even Zoom, but it's in the system, it's in Patch, and it floats over the platform dashboard so you can still be watching something on one side of the screen and be having a little video chat with all of your friends and subscribers in the bottom of the screen. And you can text chat with each other within that as well. You can also make phone calls, just audio calls, again to any subscriber that's online. Obviously, you both have to be online at the same time, or simply stay within the chat boxes that live in a variety of places across the platform. We will host and manage a wide variety of topics and conversations, and we'll make sure there's even threads and forums in different languages to give it a kind of worldwide, inclusive feel for people. We will listen to members regarding what they want to talk about and to whom. As hosts, we aren't here to monitor and manipulate conversations, but we will be able to remove abusive comments and monitor threads to ensure Patch Project is a safe community, inclusive and welcoming to all of you. Our resource library will be full of manuals, blogs, further reading and links covering the 3 pillars and all branches of the music making ecosystem. This could be the first place to look for everything from manuals for old rare equipment to the latest recording techniques. You might head direct to a sponsor or affiliated society page to link direct to their knowledge banks, documents and contacts. We have the ability for creators to have their own kind of private channels and resources where they're bringing followers onto our platform, and obviously that's good for our business. And we can lock off connections with certain people so that they have private access to their favourite creators. Our creators have profiles on the site where you can learn more about them, have contact with them via chat if they wish. For them, they have a safe and more engaging option to connect with their fans and our members. This functionality also allows our high-profile members to have exclusive lounge access, so they too can fully experience Patch Project incognito to other members except their direct peers. Then obviously the bigger part, a final part, is the live. We get to do live gigs and we get to bring our creators and we can do a full day, half day, 1 hour, whatever we decide to do. And we're going to put an amazing content program together over the year where people will log in and they'll join live. So the community's there chatting live. They can again join each other and create little groups and do video rooms or breakout rooms for themselves. They can go to the main stage and we can have multiple main stages, again, reflecting our pillars. And we can have a host and MC and our creators just be there live engaging with our subscribers. Now we can even have VIP rooms where our creators go in and do a little video room and invite certain people in if we wish to make it that VIP experience at the live events. It's a really, really smart, innovative platform that's going to give us everything that we need.
Fantastic. Hi guys.
Hiya. How you doing?
Really good. Adrian, we're so pleased that you've joined us on the first show. We're delighted to have you here and thank you for giving us your time and your support.
No, that's okay. It's an absolute pleasure. Complete pleasure.
Tony, you must be very excited.
I am extremely excited. I'm also extremely nervous because Adrian and I, when we tend to talk, getting a conversation between us two into sort of only 10 or 15 minutes. Usually the calls tend to go on for about an hour. And Joel will say, "Where have you been?" "I've been talking to Adrian." "Oh, okay." So yeah, really looking forward to that. Yes, thank you for joining us. It's great to finally be doing this. We've been talking about doing this for a very long time.
Yeah.
Well, just let me remind everyone that there's question and answers at the end of the session, and I'll shoot off and leave you two to it.
Cool.
So, okay, welcome, Adrian.
Hiya. You all right?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. Yeah, post-COVID now.
Yes, well, I'm glad you're post-COVID and not in COVID. Otherwise, yeah, I might be doing a monologue, which no one really needs. I'd get enough of those anyway. Yeah, so I'd just like to start by thanking you for joining us at Patch, as we already have, and just to ask you so you know a little bit about what Patch is doing. What would you like to see happen from Patch? What do you think we can do for the music community that would be really valuable?
Well, I think what you've just been talking about is it really. There's providing knowledge out and dispelling myths out in the world. You know, a lot of what we try and find out about. I mean, it's quite difficult to find out information, or has been over the years, that is genuine and coming from people that are actually doing it, fixing synths, making synths, using studio gear, making music that goes into the world. And I think, you know, all of us that are going to come and talk, and I know that you've talked to other people as well, that's hopefully we can give you some valuable stuff, as well as all of the fantastic information that you've amassed over the years within your company, and all this incredibly rare equipment that you've grappled with over the years. You know?
Yes, grappled, I think, is very, very appropriate. Yeah, I mean, we're really excited. It's something we've all been wanting to do for a very long time, and to actually, we kind of got slightly derailed by that pandemic that's been a problem for a while, and hopefully we're I hope we're through the worst of it now, and we can really make Patch something exciting. We've got some great people lined up. I think I'm not putting you on the spot too much, Adrian, when I say I'm very much hoping you're going to join us for another longer session at the next live event, or possibly the one after if you can't make the next one. But
I think I can make that one. I need to look at my diary, but I certainly want to, and I'm pretty certain I can. Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, there's been quite a lot of talk about synths, and you're obviously most well known as a guitar player. So I'm obviously going to ask you all about synths. I know. In the background, in the darkness, there are all sorts of wonderful things. What, I guess, if I can ask a sort of question about your synth, what's the synth that you find you go to pretty much? What's your go-to synth? The one that you use all the time, or the one that whatever happens, you're like, I'm going to be using that?
I'd always use a Mini Moog. That's, I would always start there. I mean, I have got a lot of synths, and they are a palette really, and then they are a surprise, as the guys were saying before. Moog doesn't have to be a bass synth. It can be make great wind sound from it, or but a Mini Moog, and possibly my Moog modular stuff. The sound of Moog synthesizers, for me, it was the beginnings for me, from hearing really the Beatles and Abbey Road, and not actually knowing that that's what that was, but that was buried into this fantastic music. I mean, there are patches that they use. They're very simple. There's nothing massively complicated about what they were obviously very, very enthralled by the sound of this instrument. I think George Harrison had bought it, and the sounds were quite simple. And I'd say a lot of the sounds that I make are quite simple. It's about, I relate it to the same as a guitar. I've used a wah-wah pedal since I was 16 years old, and I'm in my 60s now. And I don't particularly do anything different with that pedal. It's simple, and it fits into a lot of things I want to do if I am using it. The same with my Moogs. There's certain things I go to, and they're always different every time you do it. But and then all the other stuff around it, I add to that. Or the Moog can sometimes be huge. It nearly always is enormous.
Yes, even when it's simple, it's. I mean, I using Moogs as long as you, but I can't deny it. When we first got the Mini Moog at Soundgas, it was the biggest thrill for me, because I'd lusted after one for years, and I did. There's one just there out of shot. There's inevitably, and this maybe is showing my age. I grew up listening to lots of things with Moogs on, but I think I did the sort of. For me, the most obvious thing to do on a Mini is to detune the oscillators and make that big sort of chord sound. And I kind of did a little bit of a Gary Newman impression when I first played one. But then, as you said, they're so nuanced. You start by going, this is enormous. It does enormous bass sounds, and then you were like, with me it was accidental because I'm not the greatest synthesist, but I lighted on this beautiful, soft, expressive flute sound, and that was. I was like, oh, I was kind of like, I was there for the bass and the big, massive Moog sounds, and I was like, that's incredible. And anyone who's, you're part of Will Gregory's Moog ensemble, aren't you? And anyone who's watching who's not been to a performance, it's incredible. There's 7 or 9 of yours. Does it vary?
There's often it can go to 12. It's often. Yeah, something like that. 10,
I've seen you guys. Sorry, I've seen you guys a couple of times, and it's absolutely gobsmacking. And from sort of things like I think you did the theme for the Escape from New York. And then for me, the thing that and so there are all those really obvious not obvious, but there are some really massive synth classics that you do. But then. Actually, it's the classical stuff, the Wendy Carlos stuff, that really, for me, is so magical.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Yeah, I struggle to play that because I don't have the dexterity of a lot of the other keyboard players. So they are pretty amazing, a lot of them. You know,
yeah,
they are probably incredible. Yeah, it's interesting with Moogs because I have a friend here who's also a repair guy called Norm Leet, who's great, really good programmer, and he fixes stuff, but he's also really great synthesist, very deep, knows way more than I could even, I can't even get there, but he makes a fantastic gong sound with frequency modulation on a mini, and you could do it on a modular, but it's those tiny nuances. When I first heard Tomita, for instance, after Wendy Carlos, those sounds have always really, really interested me. The kind of very small movements to make an amazing sound, like an oboe, but actually make it really, as well as all the other stuff. But I'm always fascinated by the juxtaposition of a real gong and an electronic gong, or like in Apocalypse Now, a real alto flute and an ARP 2600 flute. That the two of those things together make everything amazing for me, and so that's the sort of thing I'm often chasing, and minis are really good at that, but then they don't have